9.6k former homeless people of Reddit. What can we do to help homeless people the most? Every situation and circumstance is different, and the needs of an individual vary greatly. I was always very appreciative of work trades, often doing landscaping, basic maintenance, farm work for food. Quick to establish a relationship if you have a good work ethic. And people often wind up tossing in some cash. For a lot of people, food and hygiene products are greatly appreciated. End of the day though, the number one thing I appreciated was just not being bothered by people while sleeping, sitting, resting, getting kicked awake, displaced by cops, never being able to lie down, etc. takes a toll on your body, and the lack of sleep destroys your mental health. Just on the subject of being bothered by people, I remember walking out of a Walmart and one of the employees there knew I was homeless, and he literally screamed at me for like 2 to 3 minutes straight about how much of a lowlife I was and how ashamed I should feel. I literally never had a crossword with the dude, he just kind of felt like doing it. Who TF kicked you at? Finding a safe place to sleep was the biggest pain in my ass. Either the local homeless sketching me out, cops kicking me awake, or fucking sprinkler systems turning on at 3 a.m. The worst, especially because I was a traveler, so I couldn't just find a good spot eventually and sleep there. Later, a whole new set of cops, locals, and sprinkler systems to navigate through in every town. I literally moved into my new apartment tomorrow, so I'm freshly not homeless, and here's my input. Feminine hygiene products are huge. Tampons and pads are expensive, and when it comes between eating and bleeding on yourself, it's a really hard choice. Wet wipes. When you don't have access to a shower, feeling clean makes a ton of difference in how your day goes. Shelf-stable food. Obvious. Peanut butter and a loaf of bread were a godsend to me. Gift cards to laundromats. It gives you a chance to get clean clothes and a cool or warm place to hang out. A lot of places have free Wi-Fi, too. Umbrellas. Again, obvious. Water. I was almost constantly dehydrated. With COVID, places weren't giving free water. At least, teal males. In near, being homeless is so isolating. It feels a lot like the world just doesn't give a shit about you and you don't know where you fit. People that talk to me made eye contact, they made a difference. Hope this helps. Edit. Thanks for the awards. Lots of people are asking how they can help. Check out your local shelters and homelessness crisis support. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. You guys are good eggs. Less than 3 tampons and pads are in my box of donations for the rescue mission tomorrow. It's something that an article in a magazine brought to my attention. Things people take for granted. I'm guilty of forgetting how much I have. I've never been homeless, but I have been broke enough to steal toilet paper from the grocery store bathroom and go days without eating, and be concerned about where my pads and tampons were going to come from. Congrats on getting a place. I don't know your story, are you personally, but I'm super proud of you. Reddit is a pretty great place to find people to talk to. If you ever need someone to lend an ear, hit me up. Do you think women would appreciate something like a menstrual cup? As a woman, I use one, and I find it so convenient for the lack of waste, but also not having to buy feminine hygiene products all the time. I don't want to assume, because I don't know if it would be easier for homeless women or just add extra complications. Shower and water are a huge one for me. Laundromat gift cards also. I was lucky enough to have access to a local gym, so I got free showers and could fill up my couple water jugs from the water fountain every day. Made a huge difference in my life. I hope this comment goes to the top. I was sad to see in the threads above people talking negatively about homeless people they'd encountered, or that people are afraid of them. I live in Metro Atlanta and I have met many homeless folks. I've been homeless before, too, but not out on the street homeless. And I'm grateful for that. But whenever I do see someone who is homeless, or looks like they need help, I usually do what I can. Back when I had a car, I would carry 2 bags in my passenger seat. One had bottles of water, and the other had dried foods and socks inside to pass out at intersections with homeless folks. I rarely carry cash when I'm out, because I will usually hand over whatever I have to a complete stranger, homeless, addict, to make their day better. If I see a homeless person in an intersection with a sign and a dog, I take them some dog food in a bowl, and a couple bottles of water in a bag. I've lived in poverty for most of my life. Still kinda do. So I know the struggle. I'm usually much more friendly with your average homeless old guy than a snobby rich person. Oh, and the isolation thing is huge. Talking to someone, making eye contact, smiling, listening, making nice conversation, goes a long way. Honest question here. Isn't it possible to get smart price or store brand feminine hygiene products for a very low price? Edit. I just searched this up and you can get a 32-pack of tampons for 80p at Asda. Seems relatively cheap, although I'm sure it adds up over time. Congratulations on the new apartment. Super proud of you, smiley face. Speaking as a BF to a wonderful woman who was formerly homeless. Don't give up on them. This should apply to people in general, but especially to those who are down on their luck. It's taken some time and some hoop jumping, but she has her own place now. It's stable housing with stable finances. She's still learning and doing her best. I'm really proud of how far she's come. I have a question: how do homeless people recover? Because giving them food and socks or hygiene stuff will help them for the time being but won't take them out of their current situation. Stable housing is the key. Zealous Ideal 9151 7.1 day ago, edited 1 day ago. I gave up on someone recently and I can't decide if I should feel bad or if I've done the right thing. He was a very bad colleague to me last year. Caused me mental issues. Gaslit me at work. Tried to highlight my mistakes. Yet, when he was homeless and got thrown into jail for a night, I was the person he turned to ask for help. I let him live with me for 6 weeks. In my tiny studio. Sleep in my bed. Bought him food and drink. Bought him clothes. Listened to him. Held him close and hugged him when he felt awful. I even gave him my credit card, where he spent £1,400. But because people at work thought we hated each other, he didn't want to speak to me at work, so they wouldn't know we had made up. He didn't want to be seen outside with me either. After 6 weeks, he did find a new place to live. I would have let him live with me longer if he wanted. He used my credit card to pay for part of the deposit. He used my card to pay for a therapist too. I was okay with all this. But now I'm picking up on his narcissistic, manipulative and mean streaks again. He belittles me as a joke. Invalidates me when I ever reveal something that's stressing me. And, at work, he's once more gone back to his old ways. He even shouted at me again for something that he had messed up and then hung up the phone on me. I put this down to him dealing with his complex PTSD, but he has triggered my binge eating disorder again. He makes me feel invalidated and like I'm only useful if he can get something out. Ooh, gut. He's also asked a few times if we could hook up and made lewd comments. We used to flirt last year before we fell out at work, so I played this off as banter and thought he is just lonely and ECE. Reld Selamamunamere. Lemiti. But it's made me feel like he is using me to make himself feel good. He recently told me I was like too much work after I called him up on his behavior and I had enough. I told him it's ironic of him to say this. We stopped talking. After 2 weeks, he asked if I was ready to talk again and I told him I was done with him. When I, once again, tried to explain my reasons, he made it all about himself. Like how well he had been doing until now, how I'm being cold, etc. I love this guy, but I don't like him, and I've put up with so much shit from him to the detriment of my own mental health, and I still feel guilty for not being on call for whenever he needs me. I know he has issues, but he is causing me so much hurt. I never expected anything back. I just want to be respected as a colleague and friend, and I don't feel he does. I'm caught in this loop of wanting to protect him and then getting hurt by him. He called me yesterday and I started shaking. I hate how much he has affected me. It's great that she's doing so well. I hesitate to even mention this, unless there's a dress code I don't know about. I think the word you're looking for is formerly, not formally. Is anyone going to ask how you started dating a homeless person? Takeout food. I used to hold door open at restaurants for people and ask them for any leftovers. Many did, and many bought me entire meals. But management often kicked me off before they could give it to me. Gel and soles. It sucks wearing shoes 18 hours a day and walking eternities. You can get shoes for free, but not insoles. My husband and I were driving home from breakfast one time and had a whole bunch of pancakes, eggs, and bacon left over, and we passed by a homeless man at an intersection. We offered him the food and he was so grateful and immediately accepted. He said he hadn't eaten a real meal in days and would love a hot meal. He was so nice, and I was happy to give him a hot meal because I sure didn't need those leftovers. Black Turtle event 1.3k points one day ago, edited one day ago. I've yet to have a homeless person accept food from me in 20 years of trying. Edit, I wish this wasn't my highest upvoted comment. For the record, I give homeless people stuff. I just get reject for my offers of food. Maybe they weren't hungry, or I don't look trustworthy. I used to leave out unopened cans of tuna and soup near a alley by my old house. Someone took it at night. It seemed like a way to help. Used to have homeless people in my town. I tried several times to give them McDonald's or other takeout. They always declined and asked if I had spare money, so I would just leave and give the food to family or friends instead. I quit offering after several people declined several times. I remember one time I tried giving a man a sandwich and he opens it and says he didn't like this. Till WUCE pa am neat seal. Underscore bird underscore and underscore the underscore hands 25 points one day ago, edited one day ago. I haven't met or heard of a single homeless person who'd accept someone else's leftovers. It's not sanitary or safe. I know that some people are desperate, but there's been food banks in every city I've lived in, and every homeless person I've encountered has been very picky about their food. Most won't accept food handouts at all. Maybe it's different in different countries or smaller towns. Edit, I've mostly had experience in large cities known for their homeless population, i.e. Seattle. There's no one answer to this. I was homeless in the late 90s as a teen runaway. I met a lot of homeless people. Some are there by choice and some circumstance. Many of the kids I knew were running away from abusive homes. Some just wanted to party and do drugs. Some of the older homeless were homeless by choice. They didn't want a job in a home, etc. They wanted to be free. Many had drug problems. Many were mentally ill. This was all before a whole new homeless crisis began, when former middle class were pushed out by rising rents and stagnant wages after the recession. Everyone has different needs. +1 for the honesty of homeless by choice people. A lot of people try to be completely black and white about it. Some people just don't have really great social support systems when something bad happens. Others are homeless because they're just legitimately alright with being homeless, or they've been given second and third chances and they've just unapologetically burned every bridge they came across. Are you doing alright nowadays? I was a kid who ran from an abusive home. I was fortunate to have a car to sleep in and live out of. I'm no longer homeless, but it's still a struggle to keep a roof. People don't seem to understand how many opportunities you just don't have when you don't have parents who love you and just want to hurt you. What I offer is this: homeless folks need someone who's understanding, calm, and some detangling spray for their hair. I always had horrible rat nest tangles in my hair, and had to get most of it chopped off when I could finally get a haircut from how badly damaged it was. Clean hair is so hard. Lush makes soap bars you can use on your hair. Water bottles are also very important. There's also dry shampoo that helps wick away oil. But there really is nothing to replace soap. If you can buy a homeless person a haircut, it boosts their morale so high. No one likes to feel dirty and incredibly scruffy, shaggy. I was homeless recently, in the last 5 years or so. It's the same as it was in the 90s. Met a lot of kids who were runaways, a lot of older people by choice, etc. Sadly, there was a ton of runaway kids. There were some services that the kids used that helped them, but I didn't get to experience them because I was over 18, so I can't say how much those helped. But yeah, it's very similar demographic from my experience. Roadflower VIP 2.8k points 1 day ago. Edited 1 day ago. I've helped a homeless lady find her family after 30 years. She had no idea how easy it is now. STUESTB Dolvale Lan IEUT. AOL. How do you help someone find their family? Just curious. Ask them. What a concept. There are as many unique stories on the street as there are people. You're a wonderful person. 3. First and foremost, treat them with dignity. I was homeless last with my partner, and the thing that killed our spirit was people being unnecessarily rude. If I am in that situation, you can bet that I'm doing my best to get out of it as soon as yesterday, because it's really not nice begging for food, being cold, and walking for what feels like eternities looking for literally any kind of employment opportunity while trying to look decent and trying to be positive. If you can't or do not want to help, you don't need to make snide remarks, because homeless people are still people. From threads similar to this in the past, I remember hearing that getting them things like socks, deodorant, underwear, etc. goes a long way. I have no idea if that would be offensive if you handed a bag of these things to a random homeless person, though. One time bought a 3-pack of plain white athletic socks, and then a homeless man outside the pharmacy asked for a pair. It was the easiest decision I ever made to give him the entire pack. Cost me so little and clearly meant so much to him. Wife and I do this. Put items together in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and have them in our car. Some homeless people refer to them as blessing bags. Saw a homeless guy once in a parking lot and gave him a bag that included a pair of new socks. We parked our car and went into a store. Came out, started to drive away, and saw the guy putting on the socks we gave him. Wife was real happy she could help him. Bir mi ulasi tail vmrent csal merla ebe aoreekb kata. Would not be offended to get a bag of hygiene items, especially pads and tampons and toilet paper and wet wipes. On a side note, because of the restrictions surrounding the coronavirus, most homeless do not have cars, and it's been really hard getting food in the inner city. The last 3 months, fast food will not let you walk through the drive-thru. The buses have either not run or run on a restricted schedule, so getting to the grocery store is difficult. Food kitchens and soup lines have either stopped or restricted how often they are helping with food. It sucks living off corner store Slim Jims and potato chips. IDK. What the solution to this is, however, if you go through the drive and someone needs you to just order their food, not even pay for it, be kind and order the food. I know we have had reputations as scam artists and addicts, but we are real people with real feelings and thoughts and dreams and hopes and fears. Some of us are in limbo, on housing waiting list, no family support, and trying the best we can to survive. No, they are so appreciative usually and will immediately share with others. Socks are super important, even during the summer in Texas. There's an org that I've volunteered for in the past that made little lunches. Sandwich, water, some fruit, cheese, side depending on what was donated or could get cheap, and went around handing them out alongside socks, hats, gloves, even coats depending on what they had from donations. They always needed socks. Also, something people don't think about that I learned is always needed when I volunteered at a food pantry that also gave out essentials like soap, is that menstrual products, tampons, pads, are always needed. Diapers also helped, including adult diapers, because sometimes part of why someone needed help was that they were taking care of an elderly, disabled person in addition to themselves, which can really add up. It varies wildly from town to town. In my experience, sock and underwear are hard to get and can't be reworn for days like your other clothes. Beep_bop boop 53 points. One day ago, edited. One day ago, I'd check with your local agencies first. I work with mentally ill homeless individuals, and sometimes we get inundated with one thing when we really need something else. Socks somehow became the thing to donate, to the point where we have too much. It also helps to know the culture of homeless individuals in your area, because some items are more valuable for bartering, which can lead to violence if someone sees you giving it. Make sure to be discreet when you're giving, please. It could keep that person safe from predators. You will literally be making people's day by doing that. Everyone deserves to feel clean. I have a trailer on my land where I have a 22-year-old homeless kid at the moment. I only have my vegetable garden on that land, so it's convenient. It's a very basic and cheap trailer. If I'd had more money, I'd build a tiny house to give them some more dignity. But the land is fenced in so they can live on it with their dog. A lot have trouble finding a job or getting their shit together because they have an animal, a castaway, like them, that stops them from going to refuges or joining programs or even having a job. He helps me in the garden. If there's too much, he can sell it on the market and buy some clothes and stuff. It gives him freedom. He's learning mechanics now. Not a bad kid, just never had real opportunities in his life and rebelled against the entire society. Athomiku Zerona 2.9k points. One day ago, edited. One day ago. I was once homeless with my dog in a small town. The local dog groomer was a friend of my family, who did not live there, and she took pity on me. She lived out of town but let me and my little buddy stay in her shop for a few weeks. Even brought me an air mattress to set up in the upstairs storage space. Before, we had just been living in the woods. Staying there gave me the chance to get a job, since now I had somewhere to leave my dog. The only condition she gave me was that nobody could know about it, as zoning laws would have caused her a lot of problems. Al, if you're reading this, I miss you and I thank you with all of my heart. And until just now, I've never told anyone. Edit. Holy crap, I did not think this would blow up like it is. Definitely the most upvoted thing I've ever done here, and my first award ever. Thank you, fellow humans. Edit 2. I'll answer any questions, just be patient with me, lol. You're a good person. That's more than anybody ever did for me, and hope he treats you, your kindness, and trailer with the respect deserved. You sound like what the world needs more of. Thank you. Thank you for what you are doing for him, and thank you for what you just did for me. The world we live in seems so full of violence, brutality, sickness, and fear, and you just shined a little light of hope into what I saw as a dark void. And that I'm appreciative of more than I can say. Yet 90% of Reddit tells me it's too easy to just move ahead in life, as if they've never faced a hardship or lost an opportunity. People have no idea how great their parents set them up for. Life. This is what I want to do when I'm older. If I could give you gold, I would be say wow, you are amazing and deserve good things to come back. Olena. Sounds like he was a 22-yo homeless kid. Sounds like he's got a home now. Amazing human. You're a good person. Keep going. You are an absolute angel. We need more of you in the world. I'm sure being able to keep the dog means more than anything. I feel like that might have been the last bit of hope he had in life. It sounds like you're really making a difference though, and it's not inconvenient at all for you. Best of luck to you guys. You my boy Waldondo. IDK if this belong here, but my cousin lives in Chicago and is a musician and bartender. She didn't have much, but a while ago she used to go to Sam's Club, or whatever their equivalent is, to get the rotisserie chickens at the end of every Sunday. She would bring them to one of the nearby homeless villages and feed them, and play music for them and read to them. According to her, Tat Vatient Lacona. EYLMEDTLA. Even though I'm homeless right now, this has given me an excellent idea for after work this weekend. Thank your cousin for me, and give her a tight hug. I appreciate her. I don't know her, but I love her. That's awesome. That's rad as hell. Tell her an internet stranger is proud of her. She sounds like a wonderful person. I bet the people enjoy her and the music even more than the food she brings. I worked with the mentally ill homeless population. Two things that are important: and ID and bus train tickets. Services are all over the city and all federal assistance needs identification. This is a few dollars, but getting the paperwork can be a nightmare. I worked with people who were impacted by Hurricane Katrina and their birth records were lost due to water damage. Fucking sucks. ID can be so hard to get, especially if you don't have any documents at all. I lost mine when I moved here, and was recently finally able to scrape together the $63 to order my birth certificate. It'll take 35 to 40 days to get here. I'm hoping that I can save up the doll hairs needed to get my license by then. This is why building life and defining one's worth over ID documents is such a problem. It is all well and good until you cannot get them. I know my partner, when he came here for the first time, had no proof of residence, and getting even a bank account was a nightmare. It's Bree time baby. 183 points. One day ago, edited 1 day ago. I was homeless due to addiction problems several years ago. Looking back, what ultimately helped me was the criminal justice system that court-ordered me to attend drug treatment. There was also a lovely non-profit that provided cheap housing for after I got clean. These non-profits usually take donations for furniture and whatnot, and you can get a tax write-off. If you're more looking to help a homeless stranger, I would say socks and food were the items I truly needed most. My feet were wet 24 hours a day if it was wet outside. If you're trying to help someone you know, meet them where they're at. If there is an underlying issue that can be treated, like mental health or addiction, try to be there for them when they're ready to get help. Yeah, we're seeing in real time what happens when take a soft approach to sleeping and shooting up in the streets in SF and LA, and it ain't great. I grab a pair of socks to drop at the homeless shelter at Target every third or fourth time I go in. They get all my slightly expired food and food my family has turned their noses at, plus house wares I'm done with, and sadly diapers. I spend a fortune of diapers for this shelter. It breaks my wet AMAUT app equals Lee Relo A. Good for you for turning it around instead of going to jail. Was formerly homeless, now homeless again. Do you mean, what can an individual person do? Or what can the rest of society do? On a society-wide level, there's a lot that could be changed. Better community resources and safety nets. More transitional housing programs extended to more people. Removing barriers to employment, care, ECT for those without addresses. ECT. On an individual level, the most important thing you can do for me is have compassion and treat me like a human being. Listen to us, advocate for us, and help in more tangible ways when you're able. With food, supplies, etc., you can make an incredible difference in people's lives. Eat just a little compassion, a little effort, or a little helping hand. How can I get you some tangible help? I don't have a ton extra right now myself, thanks COVID-19, but I have enough to share some small comforts. A way to learn to drive without spending thousands of dollars. Improve public transportation. Improve access to real treatment for mental health issues, including addiction. Realize that a majority of people are just one bad thing away from homelessness, and it is often a cycle of getting set up with a job and place to live only to have it ripped away over and over. This is more viable in a city. There are also homeless people in smaller towns where this isn't a reasonable answer. Not to say your suggestions aren't valid in large areas. I wouldn't even mind the ability to get from point A to point B without spending $5,000 too. I was able to get a cheap Walmart bike. But man, some of these interviews are 15 miles away. Tomorrow, I gotta be at an interview at 9 in the morning. But it's still 6 miles away, which was previously the longest I'd ridden in one day. My wife took in 2 homeless people living in a pickup truck about 7 years ago. Both of them, a married couple, or kind of at the end of their lives, even though they are only in their 50s, rendered homeless because of health reasons. The husband works odd jobs for cash for the U.S. highway system, usually removing debris, and the wife works as an assistant manager overnight at a gas station. They help around at the house, like mowing and such. And when my wife's previous husband passed away, they helped her get through that. It's the main reason we haven't sold her old house, because seriously, there is nowhere for these people to go. They have no family, and no RLBULS. My previous assistant came down with some serious health problems as well, and has trouble keeping a job because of them. Right now, she's living in my house, with my wife and I, helping with a lot of errands while she works on her certification and degree to get a better job. Without TUTANULMELTT SYSYSLB. Both my wife and I just grew sick of the homeless situation. Most people are homeless because they don't have health, can't afford the care, and it becomes a huge cycle. I, myself, was homeless for the good part of a year in the 1980s, and I would not have made it had it not been for the kindness of others with a spare room. You have to break the cycle. Once someone becomes poor, it is so hard to break out of it. Most don't make it, which is why there is such a huge problem with homeless in America. You're a third-class citizen, treated like a bum, lower than dirt, and called lazy, and being homeless is the punishment you deserve. You need an address to get a bank account. You need a bank account to get paid by a job. You need a job in a bank account to get a cell phone or driver's license. My first marriage, we took in S people, and 4 of them went on to move elsewhere and have the best lives they could. One of them owns her own home now. Another got married and raised a kid. Another got married and lives in a nice condo now. They just needed someone to take them in and give them a chance. And yeah, sometimes you can't help them. Either a substance addiction, mental health problems you can't spend 24/7 with them to fix. Too sick to work. And some people are so far gone it would take a miracle and complete deprogramming for their entire childhood to repair. But not everyone is like that. You can make a difference. They did for me. This is something that just doesn't happen in Europe. How can it be right that a medical problem, IECMR-NEL-TED, improve access to mental health disability benefits, or mental health treatment in general, eliminating stigma would also go a long way. I was homeless for a week when I was 18. In my case, I just didn't have options. So if anything went wrong, I was screwed. Fortunately, I knew it would go wrong eventually, so I was able to make plans to get out of it quickly. But it was months of a lot of stress. There needs to be more housing options. When it comes down to it, people just need a safe place to store items, sleep, go to the bathroom, shower, and a place to eat. Sometimes, people just need to escape controlling situations with little cash on hand. Sometimes people just need a chance to save up money to get ahead. So there needs to be a range of options so that people can have more opportunities for their futures. Paying a lot in rent with no other options to save is a huge barrier for people with little means. I would love to see a variety of housing styles ranging from similar to military barracks, a bed, some lockable storage, communal bathrooms and eating areas, to bunkhouse options, a small room that you can lock with a bed and desk, communal other essentials that offer a bit more privacy, but still cost-effective. If you have a little money, hostels are just that. Make it easier to find long-term housing. Right now, I need to move, and even though I have references and have never missed a rent payment, I can't find another place because my credit is shit. So, I'm going to end up in the cycle again. How do you build up your credit when you're homeless? You can't. It's much harder to find and keep work for hygiene reasons. The entire system we have right now is almost impossible to claw back up from. It's disheartening. As a small business owner, all of my employees are formerly homeless or currently homeless. I don't take applications BC. I don't really care what their qualifications. In my hometown I run a small distribution center, warehouse company that distributes packages to the bigger mail carrier. I don't really accept applications that often, but do go around and find the people on the streets, panhandling, sitting with their stuff, walking with their carts, etc., and offer them a fresh start, usually starting by asking if they need a place to stay. It's in a rehab house that I built on my property, not my own house. Then once they're fed and cleaned up, I will offer them a job, and if they choose to accept, I get them a uniform and tell them TLC them first thing in the morning to take them to work. They're some of the hardest workers to BC. They need the job for the income and don't want to lose the job. Note: after their first paycheck or two, I discuss finances with them to either have them start to pay to live in the rehab house, or I will discuss the next steps to get them into their own place. They also have check-ins with me to see how they're doing financially, health-wise, and mentally, so that, if they need something, they're not afraid to ask or say something to me. Nothing really, unless you meet them one-on-one. Even then 90% will betray, disappoint you. But not everyone. I was homeless twice as a child due to my parents' love for drugs and alcohol and abuse. Second, when I was older and had a heart attack and took it as a sign and sold my shit and went out into the wild for just a shy of 2 years. When I was older, being able to prove I was drug-free was a huge help for me. Sadly, a lot of people in the streets are there because they cannot, not fit in. Such is life, sadly. Precisely. Part of the reason most people end up homeless is that their existing support structure has already failed them. Why would you, a stranger, do any better? I have a friend who works with homeless people professionally to help them turn their lives around, and his success rates are shockingly low. He finds it super rewarding when he does make a big impact, but most of the time the improvements he can help with are mostly incremental. E.g., find them a place to get reliable meals, etc. If you do want to help, donate to professionals in your area who provide services. They'll usually hate less than mlunicom vlan mut laro vireli. There is always going to be a minority who simply cannot maintain their lives. For many, it's not even their fault. free, quality mental health care and drug rehabilitation would make a world of difference. Problem is, both are severely abused by its clients who often use it as free room and board or way to reset an overblown addiction. Rather than end it, many free and state-sponsored versions of both are basically group therapy and warehousing. Uno mrine core a gemme a ge. I'm gonna wind up homeless. Sadly, a lot of people in the streets are there because they will not fit in. Do you think this is a cause or an effect? I.e., they end up in the streets because they don't fit in? Or they start out in the streets and the lifestyle of being there makes them no longer to fit in? From my POV, there's nothing wrong with helping someone get some alcohol to go through the day. It helps me and I'm not even homeless. If I was, I'd certainly appreciate it more than people giving me something specific so I don't spend it on stuff they don't like. Genuine curiosity. How did you pull into the wild? As a young adult trying to figure shit out, I often think about taking some sort of mental hiatus to take time to figure myself out. I would love to do some sort of minimalistic lifestyle for a while, but stress, responsibilities, family, pressure. How did you do it? Or any tips that help keep things in line? I was homeless for about 6 months after leaving the military. Happens way more than it should. First off, I don't condone theft. That being said, if you see them taking food from a store, look the other way. A lot of that food will go to waste. I wouldn't stop them mid-theft either to offer to pay. When I was in this situation, I was extremely on guard and would become aggressive if confronted. A lot of the time, if I was stealing, I hadn't eaten in few days. Now if you see one sleeping and they aren't in the way of the general public, leave them be. Sleep is rare, and when you can get it, you take it. Now I can't talk for those that have mental disorders and can't control themselves. But those of us that know where we are and that we don't want to be there will take almost any offer you have for us. In my experience, being homeless is as close as you can get to being on deployment you can get in. It's exhausting, debilitating, and you are constantly straining to pull yourself back into a society that refuses to acknowledge you, and the genuine help you get is almost non-existent. Why is sleep rare? Excuse my ignorance, I've never been homeless, but did you not have any money saved up from your time in the military? I am not homeless, but I work on a major city and meet people on my way to work. Having chatted as often as I could, whilst having to get to work with a few homeless people with dogs, I have learned that poo bags are really useful for them to be able to clean up after the dog. In my experience, the owners considered the dog's needs and welfare above their own. It's terrible when you consider that the vegetable bags in the grocery stores are usually pretty good poop bags. You can grab a bunch and help them avoid incidents with the police, or as an excuse for properties to kick them off the area. While traveling with my dog, locals would very often pull over and shout and threaten me if they saw my dog take a dump and I didn't clean it up. I didn't have any plastic bags. Lol, I dunno what they expected me to do, especially in counties where plastic bags are banned. I would keep them whenever I got them, but I'd use plastic bags for everything, mostly waterproofing stuff in my bag. La or UTM air BCRE real. OL roll NEA. Oh, 1. You have to be able to not take things personally. You don't understand their lives, and that's okay. They're going to do things that are irrational and hurtful. It's not you they have done. Put to Okal Alec. 2. You're not the Messiah. They're probably not one mentor or one 8-step process from 1-7-100. 3. Reasons for homelessness can be fairly complex. Drugs, mental illness, lack of education, and sociology. Economic disparities are not mutually exclusive categories. On the other hand, sometimes there really is one main cause. For example, I used to work with a former pro. Loy TLRRSA root raw. Erteli Demeli. CL Lele Bell. An addiction to cocaine. 4. A lot of them are abused by other homeless people or by businesses using them as virtual slaves. I knew a woman who would do several hours worth of work at a convenience store for SPMEEAMULRLM Cubo NC Ru or Milik RADNAMS. About is a hard day. They live a tough life. It affects their outlook. Me VRBLA Homia. 6. Yes. A lot of them chose the life in one way or another. Not all, but a lot. If you want to help. STMOMERCAC MAUSRLUCUEEOMSURL me. Then don't take up the space of someone who can. If you don't want to give someone money, because they'll use it on booze or drugs, that's your call. But don't act like you've got some revolutionary insight into the problem because you noticed a lot of homeless folks have substance abuse problems. The above now stated, anything helps. If you're in an urban area, keep the local bus ticket on hand. That could help someone make an appointment that they otherwise wouldn't. Socks, gel and soles, and general hygiene items are usually welcome. A coat or warm shirt in the winter is good too. You may not be the kind of person who can walk a homeless man or woman out of that life, but no one can do it in the future if that man or woman starves to death tonight. Learn their names. They sometimes don't have people who know their names. Be sure you do. Hire them. I just had an interview today. But, man, what happens if they say yes? I thought it went well. But, how am I gonna be able to pull this off? Every time I'd be flying a sign, people would yell at me to get a job. I'd often yell back at them to hire me. 0 offers. EEEHSCCRCWSOECEN CORLS. Looks different for different people. For me it was sleeping outside, going months without bathing, or changing my clothes, and generally staying as drunk as humanly possible. Am sober now almost 2 years. Have a job I don't hate and a great living situation. Probably most important, I have relationships with people I love and I can say I don't hate myself anymore. In terms of the pen as me echo say er me rsaim say ros cmee peco eos. Animals is a little scary. That said, I get the feeling you mean. What can I do for this person right in front of me right now? And that's tricky. If you ever gave me money when I was out there, I bought booze. I was also in a place where I would have seizures and possibly die if went more than a PEEEEECEECREAGGA. Homeless people sometimes to knock the shakes off now. Decent shoes, dry socks, warm coats in winter, and food are always needed. But know any way that you try to help may not be received the way you feel like it should. So much of the time I read about people trying to help someone and whomever it is seems ungrateful or uninterested, so they stop trying altogether. The homeless are not a homogeneous group. There's all no kins of mentally ill, addicted, or emotionally broken. Me sense a tech renta, lazy people, and bad people. I'm all for helping, but I do need to stress that there are homeless. Po e teuni and sus tai lane. Ue te uutmcse gut ic ages ue taxia. PCDMSEEEEENUA. Generally avoided people at all costs. I hated and feared all of you, and I just wanted to be left alone to drink myself to death. So whenever people would really try to help me or talk to me, I would run. She asked me if I wanted some clothes and a haircut, and I don't know why, but I actually agreed. That awesome old lady, who I learned had a pretty awesome life traveling the world working in the music biz, took me to a truck stop for a shower, got me a shave and a haircut, then took me to an army surplus store. I got thick jeans, clean shirts and socks, and waterproof boots that lasted me for years. We then went to dinner and sat for a while having drinks while she told me stories from before she retired. Then she took me back to my spot, dropped me off after a hug and went on. P. RCMCCAIEENN RUA SACRCUCMTG OAECC Susan and Echo EEEACD. And get emotional when I think about her. Thanks for letting me rant. Haven't thought about it in Prairie. Give to homelessness charities. I'm in the UK and have been helped by shelter, housing advice, and St. Mungo's. They housed me and were great with my mental health and gender issues. I hated the dehumanizing aspect of being homeless. It was nice when I got treated as a person. Most beggars are directly funding their addiction, which is one of the reasons why I don't give them money. Not all beggars are homeless and not all homeless people beg. I did not know St. Mungo's was a real place. ISNT and also in Harry Potter. Donate directly to shelters and women in need type organizations. Clothes of all types and sizes, especially business attire. Dishes, silverware, measuring cups, coffee tables, the laundry, detergent that didn't work for your skin, the Swiffer mop when you decide to buy a shark instead. All household items. I left an abusive relationship with a 2-year-old and 3-year-old. We took one trash bag of clothes. It was futile to try to go back and fight over a couch or a coffee table, or even the crib. Spent about a month and a half in a battered women's shelter before I had an apt ready to move into. My house was entirely furnished by donations, and by people who read my pleading post on FreeCycle. Concord, NC, 2004. Y'all saved me and my children. Thank you still to this day. A lady saved her fold-out couch, headed for the dump. Instead kept it in her garage for me for 3 weeks until I could move it in. A stranger bought my children an entire winter wardrobe from Kmart. Someone else cleared out their old kitchenware. Without that I wouldn't have had a serving spoon, a potato parer, a single kitchen knife. I still remember each item to this day. Don't just give money, give stuff. And give dignity. Don't speak in condescending coos and murmurs. Speak to these people with respect and belief. Speak to them like they matter and can understand you, just as you can understand them. The absolute worst was seeing the subtle shift in tone and attention I received. The night we ran to a gas station to get to the shelter, I just needed to use the phone, and then had to wait outside about 30 minutes. Somehow it was instantly clear that we were in trouble and had no place to go. It's painfully obvious when someone offers to help because they feel sorry for you, or see an opportunity to be a good person and brag about it. And it's also obvious when someone offers to help because they just want to help another worthy human being. Participate more in community programs that help us rehabilitate and assimilate. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and the sentiments stick with most of us. But resources get consumed so fast that we're back at square one within hours. If we had better outlets that gave us long-lasting results, we'd have a better chance. Shelters, not missions, can explain. Soup kitchens, community, not church, can also explain. And actual Goodwill clothing organizations, a consistent meal, wash, some encouragement and support from society that we desire to be part of would go the ultimate distance. In short, volunteer, donate and promote community and social programs whose goals are altruistic and aim to lift this solution up and out of existence within our communities. I've often wondered why the homeless don't knock on the nearest church door. There seems to be a lot of churches around. You mentioned not churches and not missions. I'd like to know your reason why, if you don't mind. Direct contrib.